Here we are learning all about wisdom, discovering the mysteries and the secrets that God has for us within His Word, especially at the moment looking at Proverbs and how we can practically outwork the wise ways that God has determined that a man should live and a woman should live. So we're in Proverbs chapter 9. It says, verse 1 to verse 6, wisdom has built her house. She has hewn out its 7 pillars. She has prepared her meat and mixed her wine. She has also set her table. She has sent out her maids, and she calls from the highest point of the city. Let all who are simple come in here. She says to those who lack judgment, come, eat my food, and drink the wine I have mixed. Leave your simple ways, and you will live. Walk in the way of understanding. All of the wisdom that I have gained in my life is, let me say, I've learned it through my folly, through the mistakes that I have made. I think it was Coventry Patmore who said that a fool will become wise if he continues in his folly. And what that means is that if you keep on hitting your head against a brick wall, eventually you're going to discover that there's a better way to do things. Yes, so most of my wisdom, that's how I've come across what I know today. Of course, it's better if we can delve into the Word of God and avoid making the mistakes that beset us along the way. If we can discover early on the things that God has to share with us, the wisdom that He would provide, we will find ourselves much better off and in a better place further down the track should we apply the things that God is talking to us about. And so please don't think just because I'm talking about wisdom that I am approaching things from a position of high authority. The only authority in what I'm sharing comes from the Word of God and from the practical experience that I have gained through making many mistakes in my life. This is how most of us tend to live. Wisdom is calling here. It says that there is a way for us to live that can draw us out of foolishness and out of our failure, out of living in making things up as we go and doing our own thing, that we can come out of that and come into a place of security and shelter. So shelter is one of those essentials in life. And so it talks here about wisdom building her house. Notice that wisdom is a woman. In fact, this is the Proverbs 31 woman, that wise woman of Proverbs 31. That's who is speaking here. Later on, we meet another woman. Her name is Folly. Folly is loud and brash. And both women invite us to a meal. However, Folly is undisciplined. She's not really building anything. In fact, she loves to tear things down. She hasn't prepared things to eat. Rather, she's stolen whatever it is that she's offering on her table. Folly is unruly and destructive. Folly is chaos. And these two women, wisdom and folly, are vying for your attention, calling to the simple, that's you, that's me, regardless of our education, calling to the simple. We're all pretty dumb when it comes to negotiating life. The question is, which voice are you listening to? And how can we discern which is wisdom and which is folly? It's right about here that we are reminded in the text that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. To listen to wisdom, therefore, means you have some sense of the seriousness of life. It means you value life. Behind the fear of the Lord is the idea of ultimate value, the highest value. There has to be something of fundamental worth. Christianity begins with the confidence that there is something that is metaphysically real. So the word meta means above all and all-encompassing. Metaphysically, something that is all above and encompassing what is physical, something that unites everything. That's God. And as Christianity asserts that this metaphysical reality, or that God is the one who brings together reality itself. So think of it this way. When God said, "Let us make man in the image of God," that's saying that there is something divine in us that reflects divinity itself, and that this is the only idea that makes life work. It's the only idea that holds society together and keeps everybody working together and living at peace with one another. And it's what Jesus was talking about when he said, "Love God with all your heart and your neighbor as yourself." Because the image of God is in all of us. Man was made in the image of God. And so to realize that and to live with that is to begin to live in the fear of God. And so when we are communicating and living out our lives with our neighbors and within our society, we are actually enacting something that God set in order when originally he made man in his own image. So Proverbs is telling us that we need something. We need something that holds us together, a metaphysic that holds us together both personally and corporately. And it has to be predicated upon something that is transcendent and absolute. If you lose this knowledge, the knowledge of God, of the fear of God, then you will fall for anything. This becomes the basic building block of life whereupon you shall construct your house. Wisdom builds a house, and it begins upon this essential foundation stone. You're either building something or you're destroying something. You could purchase a brand new house, but if you don't move in, if you leave it to the elements, if you don't maintain it, then entropy will kick in automatically and it will begin to corrupt and fall apart. Whatever you're building, you've got to be continually tending to. And so as we begin to build upon the foundation stone of life, that is the fear of God, that is the beginning of wisdom. That is wisdom saying, "I'm building my house, come and eat within this house of wisdom that is built upon the foundation stone of the fear of God." As you begin to build, you must keep on attending to the things that you are building. You can't just put something in place and then think, well, that'll take care of itself. No, you have to keep on applying yourself to it. Are you with me? Building is wisdom. Building something good is difficult. It's by no means the default position of humanity. The default position is entropy. It's catastrophe. It's malevolence. It's insanity. The default position is death. The good struggles up against that. Struggles up against the things that would try to tear you down and tear society down. The peace that the world enjoys today is not the norm. For most of our history, the world hasn't enjoyed peace. It's come only as a result of more than a millennia of Christian effort. that we've got something good is not something that we should take for granted. A good family, a good life, a good business, a good church, these things don't come easily. A good society, a peaceful place to live. You have to work at it. You have to hew out its 7 pillars. You have to be constantly prepared and constantly preparing and constantly repairing. You've got to be vigilant. These things can't be manifest without faith and commitment, and the deeper your faith and commitment, the better the house will be. The most difficult things to do is to gather your life together and live in a manner that makes and preserves peace. That's living in the fear of God. When you read the Old Testament, you see there that as soon as the people of God wandered off the path, then all hell begins to break loose. So to avoid all hell breaking loose, do everything in your power to ensure you stay the course and walk the straight and narrow path. That's what it means to live practically in the fear of the Lord and to practice the presence of God. And that's the wisdom from the Proverbs for us today. See you soon. We'll have more.